listening to Heroes Forge, a Heroes of the Storm podcast.
What's up, Forgers? Welcome to Season 3, Episode number 112 of Heroes Forge, a community-driven podcast all about Heroes of the Storm. As always, this podcast is brought to you by our out-of-this-world supporters on patreon.com/HeroesForge. This is your show host, as always, Jeff Reynolds, and I'm here with the co-host of the show, also, as always, who is more awesome than the sun being out while it's raining. It's Kristen, Ashton.
Those were always the best days in Florida because it wasn't summer yet. You still had those wonderful crisp mornings and it was beautifully sunny, but also there was a little drizzle. I mean, does that happen in LA? Is that a West Coast thing as well?
Well, it doesn't rain here a lot, and it rained this weekend in SoCal, and I was out walking my pup in the rain. It started raining, but it was still sunny out, and that's like a cool like double rainbow moment, right?
Exactly. You got the cam going, like, Harrison, oh, it's a double rainbow. Oh, my gosh. Oh, my gosh. And then the techno music starts up. Everybody does a little dance in the sunshine and rain.
Yeah, I was thinking
that's how I imagine it anyway.
Like Burt Bacharach comes out and starts playing piano. Raindrops keep falling on my head. And like a dog on a bicycle rides by.
A little balloon is let go by some kid. I mean, everyone in LA is an actor, so I assume everyone's ready to go with choreographed songs and ballads at the drop of a hat.
They're also just waiting in the wings, and by the wings in this case, like in the bushes, waiting for the perfect moment to come out, and they've all rehearsed the same scene, and they're ready to go. And that little kid that let go of the balloon is happy about it, which is strange.
Exactly, but he knows it's all part of the greater good and for catching that wonderful memory shot that will live with you for the rest of your life.
That's right, and you're going to be making residuals, baby.
Ooh, you're just going to make it rain green.
That's right. Oh my goodness, speaking of things that make us happy, Kristen, did you happen to see this thing? Which is just... I don't know why people are talking about this, but maybe it's just because of how much we love this game that this is happening, and I just can't stop thinking about it since I saw it last week. It's the Heroes of the Storm PAX East panel description. Did you see it?
I did. It looks incredible. And I love that it started with "Do you remember?" Because they're definitely kind of going for the Disney of video games here is what I've started to get over the past few years as we've moved away from Diablo and moved into Heroes of the Storm and Hearthstone with its own little "I Have a Dream" song.
Yeah, that is a perfect, I don't even know what to say. That is a perfect way of putting it. I mean, they're playing on everybody's nostalgia that loves these games. They know their audience. They know exactly what they're doing. For those of you out there that haven't heard it, I'm going to read it to you because it's that exciting. So this Thursday, Heroes of the Storm is doing a panel at PAX East. And it says, do you remember the moment when you first experienced a Blizzard game? Can you remember the character that you played that cemented your love for Blizzard? Join the Heroes of the Storm development team to discuss the magic behind creating characters that leave a lasting impression. This is where it starts to get really interesting. Get a front row seat for the introduction of one of the most unlikely heroes from Blizzard's history to join the Nexus yet, and learn how the lore of Heroes of the Storm will add to the larger Blizzard universe. This basically, in this description, it's saying everything we've ever wanted them to say.
Basically, right, not only is Heroes of the Storm going to be introducing some rad new wacky characters like we've seen before. Murky, he's not exactly one I remember playing as a child, but there's lore. We're going to turn Heroes into a story or something?
Yeah, I'm down. I am so down. And the first thing I heard when the most unlikely heroes, I start thinking classic Blizzard games. I start thinking when we started talking about Blackthorn or Rock and Roll Racers, I start thinking about that. But then when I hear that they're going to expand on the lore of Heroes of the Storm, I start thinking, are we going to see a Ravenlord, Gravekeeper, lore? What are we gonna see? I get so nerded out about this. I think it's so cool. I want a cinematic. I want something that starts explaining what the Nexus is, how these heroes get pulled in together. Oh, give it to me.
Right, and then there were the portals. Remember the portals at the end of the Alex and Hanzo cinematic? What was that? She have the power to open rifts?
Oh man, this is going to be so cool. Make sure you follow along on the Heroes subreddit, or you can just, probably be on Twitter. Everybody will be talking about it after it happens. I believe it's happening this Thursday, so make sure you check it out. Kristen, have you been playing any other games around here? Any other Blizzard games or any games outside that Blizzard universe?
Let's see, not so much Blizzard, but I am taking on the original Deus Ex, which has been interesting because it's an older game. The graphics don't really hold up, but the fans have shown me there's a lot of nostalgia there. There's a lot of people who really, really remember this thing fondly. And that's great to see because even though I myself didn't play it as a young whippersnapper, it helps remind me to find what made those older games so special and so endearing, regardless of what it looks like now.
Oh, totally. I've been chatting with a friend that wants me to go back and play all of the Metal Gear Solid games because I've never played them. So it's the same kind of feel, I'm sure, to go back and experience what you experienced. It is a little different, though, which I'm sure you can relate to. I mean, if you didn't grow up playing Deus Ex and now you're going back and playing it and everybody's explaining how cool it is, it's like when you watched your favorite movie when you were a kid and then you found out it was actually bad. But you go in and be like, oh, wait, the best part's about to come up.
Exactly. And you're like, I don't remember that being such a bad part. But remember, we must always remember this. And especially if people get really excited about nostalgia, let those people who are experiencing for the first time experience it the way that they want to. Constantly harping about fixing the frame rate or talking about only if you up the graphics it would change everything. That's just probably embarrassment about being like, oh, I don't remember this being this bad. They're going to hate it. They're going to hate it. Just let them enjoy it the way they want to, because that's when you find that common ground and that love of a game that you can share together.
Well said. Very, very well said. Other games for me that I've been playing, I got on the Sea of Thieves beta this weekend, and I played it for like 6 hours yesterday. Man, that thing is fun.
Did you dress up as a pirate?
Not personally. I always dress like a pirate.
That's fair. So this leads to a great question. What kind of pirate do you dress up as? Some have parrots. Do we get the big hats? I mean, if we're going for a look, what pirate look do you go for?
The dirty drunk look.
You can smell you, even though we can't smell. You look like you smell bad, kind of a thing, right?
Exactly. And you in turn do.
So how was it?
It's very cool. It's such a cool concept. It's a cool game. I'm curious how it's going to open up once the actual game comes out. I did find it to be a little grindy as I was playing it, but I mean, I'm sold. I'm sold because it's A, pirate game. B, you go and you build your crew with your friends. You go on. Of course, you all end up talking like pirates. You all have a job to do on the ship. It's like Black Wake, but done with a really cool spin of hunting for treasure. And you've got these actual maps that don't actually match up to where the treasure is going to be. And you got to hunt around for it. And it's Muppet Treasure Island all over again.
Well, Muppet Treasure Island, that gets me excited because Muppet Treasure Island was amazing. So do you run into other people, or is it just you and your team in an open world?
It's you and your team, but you run into other teams. So, I mean, you're just sailing around this giant world and you run into other ships that are, and you can try to talk to them and that never works. Or you can get your cannons and you can talk with your cannons. You can try to steal all the treasure that's on your ship. I mean, basically it works like it would in real life. You go out, somebody says, yo, there's some treasure out there. Here's a map. You go out, you sail out, you get to the treasure, you dig it up, you have to find it, you put it on your ship, and then you have other maps. You're like, well, do we go back and deliver this treasure, or do we load up our ship with a bunch of treasure? But if we do that, then we risk getting taken over by another sea captain, and like this whole thing. It's such a cool game.
Oh, crazy. So you've got a home base, and in that case, can your home base be attacked, or is the home base kind of the neutral, no one can touch this, your progress is saved here?
I believe you can be attacked anywhere. So you don't have your own personal home base. It's a home base for everyone. So people can troll around the base island and just wait for ships to pull into port and just blow them up there. Oh man, it is so cool.
the historical accuracy. I can't even begin. That sounds like life.
That's the subtitle to their game. Sea of Thieves, historical accuracy.
With only 4 people needed to pilot one of those old big ships. Yep.
Oh, it's so fun. And, it had that, just like all games do, it has that opening moment where you're getting in there and you're like, this is so cool, that you just get really excited about it. Like, raise the sails, port to starboard. Like, you're like turning left, turning right, like just doing all this stuff. Somebody's captain. We got on a different ship and there was a fight for the captain's seat. I mean, it was really fun.
Oh, snap. So who won? Who won the fight?
Well, it ended up just being like a stalemate where we just stood there and I could talk about this game for a while and I won't do it but you can put these orders out on the table. You're like, hey, I want to go and I think we should get this treasure because I found this map from this guy. And then you have to vote on if your crew wants to do that or not. And by voting, you throw your knife down in the desk. Like, you throw it down, it's like, that's my vote. I want to go for that one. Or you can discard it. You can I don't want to do this one. But then you just get into these tiffs and it's really fun. You can also capture pigs in crates and they're super cute and you feed them bananas.
Well, now I have to play this game. I mean, if you want the pig lady, you got the pig lady. Let's have a ship full of pigs, and I'll have a little banana tree.
Oh, it's super fun, kind of like Waterworld. Anyway, before we move forward, we have some show announcements for you. We are going to record early this week. Kristen's going on a cruise. She's sailing away.
Ooh, such a good song.
I know, right? And she's going to be gone for a couple of weeks, so we're going to record next week early. So you're going to get 2 episodes of HeroesForge this week. The next one's going to be coming to you on Thursday afternoon at 3 o'clock Pacific. We're going to be trying to record that one live. If you'd like to catch the show live, you can catch it on twitch.tv/Amove TV. At 3 o'clock on Thursday. And if for some reason we can't bring it to you live, it will go live on all of your favorite podcasting apps and YouTube on Thursday, so you can check it out there, all the VODs or recordings. Very cool. The week after that, we have a super awesome announcement as well. Daz from the Nexus Trolls will be joining us as a guest host, and by us I mean me, because Kristen will be sailing away like we talked about before, and so Daz and I are going to be forging some heroes right here on the show, so we'll be continuing to bring you an episode every single week. Just next week it's coming to you a couple of days early. And with that, let's say it and let's forge.
Let's forge.
All right, well, Kristen smashed the Twitter vote for the best kit last week, so she got to pick this week. Kristen, who did you pick for us to forge on the show this afternoon?
This one, we're going back to StarCraft, and we're going with a unit, because the units are so cute, and of course we're going with the cutest units of the Zerg, because the Zerg are the best. Take that, you Protoss marine lovers. And we're going with the Lurker, because Heroes needs more stealth characters.
All of what you said could not have been more true. No, and I think I talked about this before on the show. I played some StarCraft. I played through all of the campaigns. Great story, great fun. I never played it multiplayer because I just get rocked to my core when I play multiplayer, because I like to be like, oh, I take it more like World of Warcraft. Like, oh, I'd like to do this attack now, and now I'd like to do this attack.
You stare at your base for a little bit, probably about 5 minutes. You get up to go get some food as all of the minerals are collected, and you amass enough. They're like, oh, I can spend this now. Okay, I spend this thing to get the thing. And then even on easy, they rock your base. The AI and I'm going, what have I done? Why can't I just build up a base? I don't want to move these guys.
Yes, well, speaking of AI, when you said that we're playing Lurker, I never played Zerg like hardcore, and if I did, it was very long ago. So I fired up StarCraft 2 yesterday, and I started playing, and I was like, you know what, I gotta get the feel for these Lurkers, and they are badass.
Yeah, they are these underground, spiny little units, but they don't attack above ground. So you kind of got to move them and then have them dig, and then move them and then have them dig.
Yeah, and in the StarCraft wiki, the description of the Lurker, for those of you out there that don't know what the Lurker looks like, is basically like this giant Zerg arachnid. I mean, it's like this big, it's got, all these legs, and of course it's very Zergy, and its face looks, Zergy.
It's got little spikes. Oh, but the original one cracked me up. The original image of the Lurker, because they're evolved from Hydralisks. They basically took the Hydralisk unit and gave it legs and then flattened it out a bit. So the face, it's got a few spikes on it, but it's a Hydralisk face. And they're going, this is a Lurker. Of course, it's a new unit, and it does different things, okay?
Yeah, that one was probably made at 4 o'clock on a Friday.
Yeah, right. It works, right? No one, the graphics aren't even that good in the original StarCraft to get down in its face. Tom, you did it. You're a genius.
Very cool. Let's get a short description on the Lurker and their place in StarCraft.
Introduced with Brood War, the Lurkers are burrowing units that evolve from Hydralisks, provided the appropriate Lurker den is built. They attack with spines shooting outward in a range longer than that of their basic attack. While the originals did not have an upgrade, Adaptive Talons was introduced during Legacy of the Void, giving them movement speed and a faster burrow time. Above ground, they are useless lumbering beasts, but below ground, they become ferocious monsters capable of scaring even the most hardened of Marines.
Absolutely. And I found when I fired up StarCraft 2 and made a whole bunch of Lurkers that what you read out there on the internet is right. I mean, you can use them in choke points, basically, where you kind of just burrow a whole bunch of these Lurkers in these choke points, and you have a 300 situation going on where the enemy team is trying to get through this bridge, but you've got 20 Lurkers there, and they just can't get close enough to get anything done.
Oh, totally. And then I saw this one video where they created a circle of Lurkers, and Marines walked into the middle of the circle and just exploded.
Yeah, these things are nasty. So, what if we brought a Lurker to Heroes of the Storm? What would that character look like? How would it all play out? Let's find out. We each built a kit for these Lurkers, and we'll see how it all plays out if we were to theory craft what some of their abilities would be. Kristen, would you like to go first or second today?
I'll go second today.
Sounds good. I'll start this thing off with the same thing we always start off with, but what role classification would it be if we brought the Lurker into the game? And I'm going to say that the Lurker is going to be specialists.
Ooh, so what kind of specialist? A buff specialist? A lane/camping specialist? I mean, we've got so many now, it seems.
Yeah, I think it would be a lane and defense specialist.
Ooh, so more backline kind of work, or more you want them to be all over the map, but never really in the main fight?
I want them to be all over the map, and I think you'll see what I mean in a second. And notice when I described what role classification the Lurker would be, I said specialists with an S, because I'm saying that if you pick a Lurker in Heroes of the Storm, you're actually playing two characters at the same time instead of one, and they're both Lurkers.
Ooh, now how visually, how do you differentiate these these spine spitters?
I don't think you differentiate them at all. I think that they look exactly the same, and they're just on the battlefield like they would in in StarCraft rather. They look like Lurkers. They're, it's got that horde feel because you're playing more than one character as you're playing a Zerg. They do have their own names. So one of them would be called Sesnerg and the other one would be Sismat. I just came up with those names. So, but other than that, you're just toggling between these two units and you're able to interact with them, and they're both going to play the exact same way. It's not like the Lost Vikings where they're going to be, doing different things and useful for different situations. They're both the same unit and you're only controlling two.
Oh, nice. And health pool, death XP, how does that count?
I think it would be just straight up half, right? So it's half and half of a normal, whatever the numbers are for a specialist, half and half of Zool, half and half of whatever. But basically, it all builds into this trait, which, believe it or not, is called Burrow. So the trait, Burrow, in this kit, the player will control two Zerg Lurkers in the battle. So, these Lurkers will be very large models, about the size of Azmodan. Like the Lurkers in StarCraft, these units will be very useful in defensive situations as well as the occasional ambush. When this trait is activated, the selected Lurker will burrow. Both units will act in the same way, and because of this trait, they can only attack when burrowed, just like in StarCraft. Now, when you're burrowed, though, as a Lurker, you do take reduced damage.
Oh, so if someone is targeting you, you can burrow. Can you move while burrowed and then get away?
No, just like in StarCraft in that respect too, you have to stay put. And I don't think that it's a full burrow completely underground, because the feel that I got with the StarCraft was you're kind of hunched out of the ground a little bit and people can still see and still attack you. Only half of your body is there though. You do have a reduced health pool, but you take reduced damage if you are burrowed.
That totally makes sense. And then with that reduced damage taking, maybe they technically then have about the same amount of health as a full hero when they're burrowed.
Yeah, very, very true. But you are vulnerable, obviously, if you're standing still in this game that you never want to be standing still in, unless you have two of you, two Lurkers going across the battlefield. So the next thing we talk about is mounting abilities. And I'm going to say that these Lurkers have no mount, and they always move at a slower than normal movement speed. Because there's two of them, you're going to be able to do a lot more with them. This is one of the takes that you're going to have to take in order to give in the end. I wanted to play around with this idea and get your thoughts too, though. What if Lurkers could gain a bonus movement speed from Zagara's creep? How cool would that be?
Yes! Yes, this ties into the whole what if characters who are related in the universes they come from buff each other when they get to the Nexus. I know that's complicated. I know that would be absurd to try and implement, but the idea and the flavor behind it, I am entirely on board with all Zerg characters being able to take advantage of Zagara's creep, because then you really promote like an all Zerg team.
Yeah, I like that idea too, and I'm sure that the Heroes team wants to promote diverse teams that include characters from a whole bunch of different universes, but I think it's cool. This cross hero synergies, I think they could play into that, and it would be really fun. Is it the right time to do that now? Maybe not. Maybe there's not enough heroes in the pool to do that. Maybe it would require a whole bunch of crazy reworks. Maybe it would be broken, but who knows? The thought itself of these cross-hero synergies would be really fun.
Oh, I stand behind it entirely. I love it, and I think it would add so much life, but maybe it would also be limiting, right? Because people would only choose heroes that buff each other.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, would you play the Lurker if you didn't have a Zagara on your team? Maybe. I mean, it depends on the whole thing, but of course, even if you do have a Zagara on your team and the Lurkers on your team, then if they're clearing the creep, then they don't get the bonus from it anyways. So I mean, you can counter it as well. So it's just a cool thought to think about. Let's get into some basic abilities here. The first one, I mean, as Kristen said in the beginning of the show, the Lurkers' damage is basically built around these spines that they shoot, and it's kind of got a feel to an Anubarak Q, right?
It does. It's just that straight line spike spit. So I'm interested to hear how you take this though. Faster, shorter, longer. I mean, how do you differentiate from a Nubrak?
Oh, totally. That was my goal in all of this, because I was like, well, we could just build a Nubrak 2.0 or a Nubrak with a Lurker skin, which really looks like an Anubalisk already. I mean, there's some cool skins out there for it. So the first thing I did was with the Lurker's Q, and it's called Singular Spine. So when burrowed, and this is activated, the selected Lurker will select an area on the battlefield to have a massive single spine jet up from the ground, dealing damage and creating impassable terrain for a short amount of time. The size of this spine is about the same radius as a medic grenade, so not huge, maybe like the glacial spike from KT, something like that, but it cannot be passed and it stays on the battlefield for a little bit longer, but also deals damage.
That's a really cool idea, adding impassable terrain, because that's something we've talked about before. Things that add terrain that either is impassable or hurts you to the battlefield. And we see that stuff with heroics now, but not too much with basic abilities.
Yeah, I love I love those moments, and those are the HGC moments in my mind, where the Tassadar wall goes up just at the right time, singles somebody out, and then they're stuck on the other side of it. This is a basic ability version of that, and you're right, we have talked about it a couple times on the show, so it'd be cool to play around with for sure. Now that feeds into the second basic ability, which is called Spine Tear. So you need to be burrowed to activate this one as well, but it'll summon a line of spines from the ground. But unlike a Nubarak, these spines travel to the Lurker, not away. Enemies that are hit with these spines will be damaged and pulled a very small distance towards the Lurker. This is about half the size of a Kerrigan pull, so it's not as much, but it still does a lot of damage.
Cool. We don't see this enough in Heroes, I think, right? We have Cassia's ult if you choose it, and we have the Kerrigan pull grab, but that behind the back pull toward, that's extremely disruptive. We know what Garrosh can do when he gets a hold of you and tosses you back. So even something as small as this. Now, would it be able to pull more than one hero if you get more than one in this line?
Yeah, I think so. I think anybody that's hit by it is pulled just a short distance. So maybe half the distance of a Kerrigan pull for each person. So it's just a little bit of, pull to it. But I'm thinking that if you wanted to build a combo into this, you could pull and then put your spike on the other side of them, and then they would have a harder time to get around, or you hit them with the spike so nobody else can get into where you're going. Something cool like that. I love Kerrigan's combo. I can't do it, but I love it. I think it's so cool to be able to say this combos perfectly with each other. So I was trying to come up with an idea like that, but it's hard, something unique. So the pull and the diversion of that singular spike from Q would be the thought.
Oh, it's beautiful. And of course, the displacement. You can really, really take advantage of people who don't know how to fight against you with simple displacements.
Yeah, and Chad is asking if Kerrigan's W is technically impassable. I actually don't know the answer to that question. I'm not sure if those spikes that come up from the ground, you can actually pass through them once they come up. They're just not there for long enough in comparison to this. I think this would be up for maybe a good, 3 to 5 seconds. I mean, that sounds like a lot, doesn't it?
It does. That's forever in game time. But, maybe it's good and they shouldn't get hit with it in the first place.
That's my problem. Wood League, I'm telling you. Don't get hit by it in the first place. The third basic ability on my Lurkers kits is called Sinkhole, and this is actually a passive basic ability. So for a short length of time after a Lurker unburrows themselves from the area that they were burrowed in, it'll become a sinkhole. Players that step on the ground in this area will fall into the sinkhole and be stunned for a short amount of time. This can be talented into later in the game to allow the Lurker to line the bottom of the sinkhole with spines, dealing damage to enemies that make this grave mistake.
Oh, only if a little tombstone pops up.
Oh man, you could tell that I was in a RP mood when I wrote that last line there. But yeah, basically you're setting traps for the enemy, right? And if you have this thought of ambush altogether and you're trying to escape something, maybe an ambush gone wrong, and you burrowed in this bush and you get out of it and people are trying to chase you, they're going to fall into that hole and get stunned.
Oh, cool. So kind of like a chromie trap. But they're stunned too. They're stunned just like Chromie. So, I mean, the animation would be different, but they are frozen there while you trundle your big old Lurker bum away.
Yeah, but with the difference between a Chromie trap and this, though, would be that you can't attack somebody that's stuck in a Chromie trap. In this instance, you'd be able to still attack them. They'd just be stunned like a Abathur Hammer of Justice kind of feel.
Gotcha. I like that. It's so frustrating when Chromie's trap catches somebody and you're just sitting there.
I know.
All right. I just shot off one of my abilities. Yay.
Oh, well, it's even more frustrating to get caught in a Chromie trap and have somebody really good playing Chromie on the other end, and they know the timers and they know exactly when the trap's going to pop, and they drop a dragon on you and they throw a time bomb at you, whatever that dragon thing is that hurts really bad.
Oh, yes. But luckily, I know enough Genjis. So Chromie, luckily, rarely is now a problem.
Good. Very, very good to hear. Let's talk about some heroics on my kit. The first one is called Impale. So this is going to use a massive spine that the Lurker can impale a target and deal damage to them. Impaled targets are unable to attack, and to get out of this impale, they have to furiously press Q, like just mash Q until it lets them go. This is targeted in the same way that the Lurker's Q singular spine is, but it has a larger area. It's a bigger spine that comes up from the ground, impales like a Vala, and then in order for Vala to get out, she's got to be, frantically mashing Q.
Oh, what's the animation for this?
Man, I don't know.
How do you impale I mean, it's all in the flavor and in the visuals. How do you see this one coming to life?
I don't know. Okay, well, here's the thing that I read in the StarCraft wiki was that the Terran have no idea where the Lurkers' spines are actually coming from. They don't know if it's something coming from the Lurker themselves, or if it's like them summoning other Zerg that are living under the ground, or like maybe a massive Zerg or whatever, because these spines, they're super long in StarCraft, and the Lurker doesn't have arms that long, you know what I mean? So it's like a weird thought.
Yeah, I didn't actually consider that. Maybe they altered the earth in front of them. And so they're earthbenders. It's basically Avatar: The Last Airbender, but a lot darker and a lot more war-torn.
Yeah, and if we're going for like a Diablo feel for this, E for everyone, or I think Heroes is T for teen, right? Whatever it is. If it was a mature game, right, there would be blood and there would be like an impale and you'd actually be like stuck up on this spike. So I'm not sure how they would do it. Maybe you just get pushed up into the air and you're just kind of like stuck there from this giant spine that's holding you down. And then to get out, it's up to you in order to do that, because you're still targetable while you're up there. You can still attack too, but you're stuck up on the spine.
Gotcha. So maybe it's one of those, the spine comes out of the ground and you're holding on to the top of it because you think it's a tiny thing, but really it's huge. And then you got to slowly climb your way down.
Yeah, that's the PG version of it. I think it would work out really well. The second heroic on my kit is, like Kristen talked about in the description, Adaptive Talons. So this is a passive heroic. This heroic will give the Lurkers increased armor when burrowed, as well as increased auto attack speed while burrowed from their massive talons. The Lurkers will also have a pulsing damage dealing attack that passively allows 2 giant talons to come up from the ground and pin an enemy close to the Lurker. So, like a Brightwing pulse that heals as it comes out? This would be the same kind of thing, but every few seconds, 2 of the talons on the Lurkers would just come up and come forward as if they were going to grab something. They'd just go whoosh, come forward. Maybe 2 seconds later, whoosh. And if they happen to catch an enemy hero in one of those lunges, then it stuns them right there, and then they can get attacked. But you have to be there at the perfect time. It's just going to continuously happen.
That's a great visual. And I love that you don't need an enemy nearby to trigger it. It's just something that's going, and you yourself can see it, and the enemies can see it, so they can run away. But it's very clear as to where this little clamping device is going to happen next. And I'm sure, because if it's on a regular beat, you'd be able to predict when the next one is. Yeah,
on both sides of the battle, you'd be able to predict it, which would be really cool. I mean, again, if I had to sum this whole thing up with these 2 Lurkers that you're controlling around the battlefield, is that you want to be able to be in a really good defensive position. If this Lurker was blocking a gate and its talons were just going, clamping every 2 seconds, and it was shooting spines at you and, doing all this other crazy stuff, you wouldn't want to go through that gate because it would be a hard thing to do. Imagine if there were 2 on the same gate. That'd be even harder, right? So you can use it defensively like that, but also offensively to set up those ambushes, is what I really wanted to get the feel in there, where if the enemy team is going to take a boss, one player is controlling 2 Lurkers, one's on either side in a bush on like Sky Temple, just waiting for them to come up. Spines just start shooting everywhere. It'd be really hard to control, but really fun.
Oh, it would be great. And those micromanagers, bless their hearts, they would have another hero that they could turn to. And it would probably be more relaxing than the Lost Vikings.
That's right. I can't play 1 hero, let alone 3.
At once, right? But yeah, switching. And part of the reason I haven't gone back to Sammy is because the switching between the three, I know how much practice that would take, and I just don't believe in myself strong enough yet. So
you were really, really good at Sammy though, Kristen, a while ago. So I think you should believe in yourself.
Thank you. Maybe I will. Maybe this break.
That's right.
Practice some Sammy again.
Like we always say on this show, anything is possible if you just believe. Well, that is my kit for my Lurker build here, setting up those ambushes and doing some damage on the defense. Before we get to Kristen's kit, we have some people that we need to thank as always. We need to thank our outstanding, out-of-this-world Rockstar supporters on patreon.com/HeroesForge. You are the people that help make this show come to you every single week. Thank you so much for supporting us. We are just $4 away from our next goal, which is bringing you Flash Forges if you're a supporter of the show. And Flash Forges are going to be fun 15 to 20 minute episodes where we're going to surprise each other with the character and set a timer and quickly come up with heroic abilities for that character, similar to what we did on the Nexus Trolls episode we were on a while ago. And it was a blast, and some really crazy cool ideas came out of that when you're just thinking off the top of your head. So thank you to all of our current supporters out there for helping us get that close to our goal. If you'd like to support the show, head on over to patreon.com/HeroesForge to find out how you can do that. Also, thank you to everybody that's given us a 5-star review on iTunes. It really helps the show grow when people search for all the great Heroes of the Storm podcasts that are out there. Check it out. If you listen to us on iTunes, drop us a 5-star review and we'll give you a shout out right here on the show. Thanking you for your support. All right, Kristen, let's get to it. What role classification did you do for your Lurker kit?
I'm going with Stealth Assassin. Like I said in the beginning, I really feel like if we bring him in, it's got to be a Stealth Assassin. Add one more to the rank. But this time, because of the burrow, it would be an actual stealth.
Oh, nice. I think that maybe they made stealth changes in the game because they're thinking, we need a hero that can be completely stealthed, that doesn't follow that set of rules, that can do something different, and that will be its super strength. So they basically added another tier of stealth to the game, or the possibility of it.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. And it seems to be that when they make big changes like that, something is eventually ushered in that takes advantage of what everything was changed to.
Totally. So, I believe it or not, I've never seen the film Tremors. Have you seen that movie?
I've seen Tremors 4, the one with Kevin Bacon.
Is he in a Tremors movie?
It's one of the best Tremors movies I've ever seen. There's more than one.
I did not know that.
I suggest the Wild Wild West one with Kevin Bacon if you're going to watch one.
Oh my gosh, everything you're saying is hilarious. Okay, so is Tremors about like underground man-eating worms or something like that?
Yes.
So is that the feel you're going for with this? Like there's this underground monster that you have no idea where it is, and it's coming around and can just pop up and just wreck you.
Yes, but no popping up.
Oh, okay. Let's get to the trait then. What are you thinking?
All right, the trait, I'm definitely going with burrow. A lurker is far stronger below ground than above. They are ambush predators to the extreme. And I've named my little guy Nick because he's got little cuts on his his spines. So because of this, Nick does all attacking from underground. This is true stealth, and there are only a few visible spines to denote his location. While burrowed, Nick has increased movement speed. While above ground, Nick cannot attack. To knock him upward, though, a ground effect attack must land on his location.
Oh, okay. So someone can unburrow Nick if he's burrowed on the battlefield, is what you're saying.
Exactly. A well-placed right-wing spit could kick the little guy up out of the ground.
Oh, I like that, because I like the counterplay to that. So he can't attack unless he's underground, but the enemy team can stop him from being underground if they just happen to know where he is.
Exactly. And there are a few spines that stick up above ground. So you could technically see where he is, but if he's a good player, he's not going to draw attention to himself. And therefore, the enemy probably won't see where he is, and he'll get in a lot of attacks.
Oh, totally. So there's no, like, earth-moving effect when he moves underground. You just see the spines move across the battlefield. There's no, like, rocks that are, piling up on top of the ground as he's moving.
Correct. We're not doing a Bugs Bunny thing here. This is as stealthy as we can do it, where the enemy team does have the possibility to counterdraft.
I love it. Very cool. What about mounting?
All right, so I think he would totally be above ground because he's going to be an adorable little model that a lot of people have put a lot of love and time into. And so he's just going to have this above ground waddle. He's going to rev up his little legs by stamping them on the ground, and then he's just going to hustle with his little butt going back and forth.
That's right. The husky Lurker is just hustling across the battlefield as fast as he can.
I should have named him Husky. But I don't want to bring up the past, Jeff. Let it go.
I'll never forget. An elephant never forgets, and I will not. Anyway, so he's just going to move a little bit faster on the battlefield. I love it. And I love how you say that he's going to have a cute model, because these Lurkers are not, again, you've touched on it. You think they're cute, Kristen.
Well, I blame David Attenborough. I blame David Attenborough. And if you've ever wanted to watch animal documentaries, I highly suggest everything that man has done. He's done this Life series where he covers mammals, sea creatures, plants, insects. I mean, it's the entire gamut. And so the insect one is adorable because they filmed with these high-def cameras, so you really get up close to their world. And they're the cutest little things. Did you know that when an insect takes off to fly, he lifts up his little arms like he's about to do a touchdown, so that when his wings are finally beating fast enough, it lifts him off the ground?
No.
It's the cutest thing to watch in slow-mo.
No, I can't say that I did know that. That's interesting. Very interesting. Okay, you're blaming David for this one.
David's taking the ball for me, thinking Zerg are cute.
That's hilarious. Okay, cool. Let's get into some basic abilities here. Thanks to David. What's our first one?
The first one is called Spine Line, and like a Nubrax thing, like your thing, Nick is going to launch out a fast-moving, long-range skill shot. Spines are going to pop out of the ground and deal high amounts of damage to those that don't move out of the way. It's not going to do anything special. It's just going to be a damage, and if you stand in it, you're going to be hit by 3 spikes, and that's going to do 3 times more damage than just 1.
Oh, cool. So it's dependent on how many spikes you actually get hit by where you're standing. Now, talk to me about range, because we talked about, how the Lurker's range in StarCraft 2 is actually long. I mean, because I compared the Lurker to a Nubrak, right? When I was playing StarCraft yesterday. And, I thought, man, this is a long range. The range circle is huge. So are you thinking a big range for this, longer than a Nubrak because there's no stun?
I mean, if we're going long, Chromie's got the biggest one with that Sandblast, so maybe a little shorter than that, but maybe if you talent into it, you can get that length.
So cool. So the enemy team can use this basic ability to find out where you're originating from, because they'll be able to see it, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So there's a way to play against this spine line. So cool. And in the game, in StarCraft, these spines come up and they're just like, they look like giant teeth, basically, that just shoot up from the ground and deal damage to the enemy. So I love how you get so that plays into something that the Lurker player would want to see. Make sure that they're not at the end of the range of this ability, because then they're going to take less damage, right? Because they'll be hit by less spines.
Exactly. And maybe the characters with bigger models, you're going to get hit by 4 or 5 spines. So drafting against it, you wouldn't want something like an Asmodan, because he'd just get his butt kicked.
Yeah, so cool. Okay, second basic ability.
All right, the second one is called Spine Launch. And so Nick pops a little spine. I wrote spin instead of spine, and I got confused there. All right, so he's underground. He's getting ready, and he's going to have a little spine on his back that pops off. and it's going to arc upward and then down, and it's going to land on a single target. Now, if that target's health is below half, they are pinned to the spot.
Oh, nice. I mean, you're really turning the whole tables on bugs here. I mean, like, as if someone was stepping on a bug, this bug is stepping on you.
Exactly. He's got little human smashing boots, and instead of weasel stomping day, he rewrote it, and now it's human stomping day.
Question about talents for this one. Can you indeed take a talent that allows him to spin instead while he does his spine?
Yes. Yes, you can. Spin both forward in a somersault and then around, and he's super dizzy afterwards. You need to take 10 seconds of rest to reorient yourself.
Oh, that's funny.
But
This is really cool, though. I mean, just the thought of this defensive, like, I can see the animation of this lurker, you know, hunched over in the ground or whatever, and all of a sudden this giant spine launches off because he's trying to pin the enemy target. And I love the play that you did on if they're below half health, right? If the lurker's doing his job in your kit, they'll be below half health, right?
Oh, yeah, and depending on the hero, if they get hit once by the W, they're at half health. And also, too, what if with the spine launch as well, you've got a team with great burst damage, you could hit 3 targets in one go. So 3 little spines shoot up and then land on enemies.
Nice. I dig it. This is really, really cool. Kind of like a missile launch. I think there's an opportunity for a kit there to be like some underground machinery that can like go around and launch mini missiles or something.
Oh, that would be adorable. Yes.
Done. All right. Third basic ability. What are you thinking here?
All right. Third one is Spine Explosion. Feeling safe, Nick crawls his way to the center of the fighting and explodes spikes outward in a circle around him. The force of this is so intense that enemy units are also pushed a short distance. And then he and ETC high five because they love displacing people with this.
That's right. Double this up. Like, think if you had an ETC on your team that could just push them a certain distance, and then they didn't even know that the lurker was there. Combo, wombo, get pushed again into tower range, further away from where you want to be, or even defensively on the other end of pushing them away from you.
Right, it would be like having 2 garages. You toss to the one behind you, and he tosses it back even further.
Oh, dirty. I like it.
Delivery, and then you could have a little waiter, a little cook outfit, right? As he's tossing the order to the back of the line. Delivery up, friggin'.
That's right. Every time he goes around a corner, he's saying, corner.
Exactly.
I get it. I get why waiters say corner when they go around the corner, because they're probably carrying like a big tray of things and people are there. I usually end up sitting at the table at the restaurant that's right next to the corner. So the waiters are always like, corner, screaming in my ears as they come around the thing every single time.
Oh no, but I mean, do you tell them, did they ask you corner or no corner seating?
Yes, and I'm just a masochist, so I say, put me by the corner.
Nobody puts Jeffy in the corner.
Nobody puts Husky Pants in the corner. All right, we're going to move on to some heroics. What's your first heroic ability?
All right, the first one is called Buried Alive. Now, it is said that sea urchins evolved from lurkers. I said that.
Okay.
Lying in wait.
I believed you. I believed you 100%. I was ready to look it up on the wiki. Actually, I wasn't even going to look that up. I was just going to believe you.
100%. Believe everything Kristen says here on the show. Oh, dear. I pray for you if you do that. All right, lying in wait. Nick can activate this heroic when an enemy hero stands above him. Longer spikes, very, very much like a sea urchin, shoot outward, trapping the hero in this prison. These spikes then begin to usher the enemy down into the ground where they will be slowly digested.
Oh, this is great. This has got some Star Wars feel to it here. So you're shooting these spines up and you're pulling them down. How do they, if they can, get out of it? How does it last? Like, does it stun them? Are they still able to attack? Are they slowly coming down in quicksand?
I think this should be health percentage based. Maybe we'll just revamp this, and a lot of his stuff activates at certain health percentages. So if you're full health and you get trapped, maybe a quarter of your health is taken. You don't get taken that far underground. You're released eventually because the prey is just too hard. You're not going to fight it. It's not worth the energy. But if you're half or a quarter health, this thing is just going to wreck your face, and it's going to hold you still so that the Lurkers team can shoot. And I mean, I like to think that if you're trapped in this prison, you have the ability to fight back. So maybe you can do basic attacks.
Nice. I dig it. I like it a lot. So basically, it's basically on the basic level, which is what basically means, you're stuck in one spot and you are able to still do auto attacks, but the animation for this is these giant spines are coming up and pulling you underground.
Exactly. And this, just a random thought, because I brought up sea urchins. If you ever get a chance to go to the Seattle Aquarium, the touch pool has sea urchins in there. And if you've ever stuck your finger in a sea urchin, you know what I'm talking about. Their little needles grab you, and then they start trying to move your finger to where their little mouth is. It would be utterly horrifying as a fish. So I think that would be amazing if this could somehow be a thing that is translated for this lurker.
Oh, it would be so cool. And just the animation would be amazing. I mean, it's cool. We've talked about animations like this before where, hands come up from the ground and, the undead pull you down into the ground. I mean, that's just cool. I mean, that's just cool fantasy. So I love this. It also reminds me that we need to thank our sponsor for this show, which is Planet Earth. Make sure you check out Planet Earth's newest BBC series.
It's so good, guy. I love animal documentaries. Mom always made fun of me because Sundays they'd put on these 3-hour long, really boring wolf documentaries. And I loved it. So
no,
yes.
I love it too. I'm just giving you a hard time. I love those things. I love watching. I'm fascinated by it. And mostly I'm fascinated by the tech that they use to capture some of these things. Like you talked about the insects and the zoom levels and the 4K quality of looking at a bug is really weird. It's cool. What's your second heroic?
All right, the second one, Lurker Den. Why not? Nick calls from the underground a massive lurker den. This hideous structure. And I say hideous. These lurker dens are not cute. There's nothing cute about these things. They're gross, and they should feel bad about existing. But this is a hideous structure that then begins spawning smaller lurkers that target any nearby enemies, preferring the delicious taste of heroes.
Love it. So this has got the Zerg rush feel to it. I mean, anytime we talk about Zerg on the show, we always end up talking about that whole horde mentality, the whole horde feel, and this ability hits it on the head. It's great. So these mini lurkers, you don't control them.
No, you control the placement of the building, and then out of its little opening, little half-sized lurkers are crawling out, and as soon as they get close enough, they'll burrow and start shooting spines.
Oh, so cool. So can the units be targeted by the enemy, and can the building be targeted by the enemy to be taken out? Or is this, I mean, does it have the same type of feel as a Abathur egg thing that launches, mini little Abathur units that just does it by itself?
Yeah, very much like that. And it should be targetable. And the little units should be targetable because if you have a Sonya, you should be able to spin all over them and destroy them, thus saving your team a lot of hassle. But if I could have my dream, they would not be targetable.
Yeah, think about it. Rainer's Raiders, right? I mean, that's a perfect example of something that's not targetable, that's doing the same type of thing, right? It's following a specific hero. It's going out there and, I don't ever see it, but there was a time where I saw it a lot in the game, and it is so annoying, especially if you're playing a squishy character, because you're just running. For some reason, you just run. You keep running, and it's going to kill you anyway, but you just keep running.
Well, that's what Forrest said. And I think with the years that we grew up, we took that to heart a little too hard.
That's right. That 4-hour film, Forrest Gump. That was
the gem of the South. At least of Savannah, because did you know the opening scene was filmed in Savannah, Georgia? Because Savannah, Georgia wants you to know that.
Oh, do they?
Oh, when you go to Savannah every tour, and this is the bench on the Forrest Gump opening scene. Ooh.
Ooh, a bench. Very cool. I like it. I like this ability a lot, Kristen. This is really cool, and it feels like Zerg to me, and I'm sure this building would not be cute, and it'd be like a bubbly, gross, bug den of these baby lurkers coming out.
Oh, yeah, you should see this thing. It's got a little butt opening. That's its door. It's so gross. It's a little butt door.
A bore, some would call it.
There we go. Perfect. Now we can keep it PG. We can still rate this episode PG. A bore. We're talking about human anatomy, and that's science.
How do you sum your whole kit up if you had to?
If I had to. If I had to. Doing just spine.
It's a great one. That's a really, really great one. As always, your themes for your kit are spot on. And this kit of a truly stealth assassin where there's no shadows playing around in your kit. There's an actual, little spines that are up on the ground, and you have to pay really close attention to that. And then if you don't, this assassin is going to come out with spine launches and, these explosions of the spines and, pulling you down underground. The fantasy is there, and it's super cool, and it's super Zerg. But before we can call both of these kits completed, we have to talk about the best part of, as always, specialty skins and dance moves. Let's start with Kristen's specialty skin for Lurker this week.
Okay, so instead of Nick the Lurker, he's going to be Sick the Lurker, and he's straight out of 80s punk. Instead of the mohawk, he's got the big spikes coming out of his head. He's got hair in this one, and they're dyed purple or pink or some neon color. He's got lots of earrings. I mean, the orcs have nothing on this guy, and he's got little jean legs on his little bug legs. They've got little rips in them, and then this leather jacket that's poked through because of the spines. I mean, it's so grungy.
Okay, grunge. Grunge is the feeling you're going. I have a question for you. Did you ever, growing up, get the urge to have a mohawk?
Me? Not really. I always thought they were really cool. Kind of like fros. You innately know they take a lot of effort to do, and you respect the hell out of the ones that are really, really good. But I was always too lazy. What about you?
Never a mohawk, but there was a time where I remember I went on a vacation to San Diego, California with my family, and I think I was in I want to say 4th or 5th grade, and we stayed at this place that my grandparents always stayed at, but my friend, who was way more well off than we were, stayed at the Hotel Del, which is like this really fancy 5-star hotel in Southern California. And so she's like, hey, do you want to come over and hang out with me and my family for the day? And I asked my mom and dad, and they said, yeah, go for it. But I had to look good, right? So in 4th or 5th grade, this is what it amounted to. I had a spiked haircut, which I spiked up with gel. I had the tops of the spikes bleached, right? So they're bleached, and I wore bright orange Oakley sunglasses and my board shorts and a t-shirt. It was probably like some, Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time t-shirt. And I remember walking around the Hotel Del drinking virgin strawberry daiquiris.
Dude, too cool. Please tell me there are pictures.
No, they've all been destroyed.
Faded event. No, that is classic childhood. We all have those where you dress up. You're like, I'm too cool for school. I remember Oakleys. Yeah. I remember those. Those were a big deal, especially in 5th grade, because those were the hot new sunglasses on the market.
Oh yeah. If you want to know what it looked like, just look up Justin Timberlake bleached tips.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my goodness. So I think most guys did that, right? Kyle has pictures.
No way.
Oh, the frosting? Oh, my goodness. That was in high school, too. So.
That's hilarious. That is very funny. The things we do when we are young. Very,
well, she was probably a cute little 5th grade, best friend at the point, right?
Yeah, at
not
that
really
point,
crushing on girls at that age.
No, I just really wanted to be cool at the Hotel Del. I grew up in Arizona, and I was like, this is the place to be, Hotel Del.
This is where I make it.
That's right. And I remember the bartender must have hated us because we would just keep coming there and, hey, can I have a strawberry daiquiri but with no alcohol, please? And he's like, oh my gosh.
Did you tip him at all?
I don't think I knew what tipping was at that point of my life. Let's move on to let's get away from this story and move to specialty skins for my kit.
If we have
to. if we must. So I'm thinking, because the Lurker has this like arachnid sort of look, I was thinking like a Shelop or a Shelop from Lord of the Rings, you know, a big spider kind of thing, or something that I created called the Miracle Worker Lurker, which is part of my ongoing occupation skin set, where it's going to be a doctor, the Miracle Worker Lurker, complete with doctor scrubs and ear loop health face masks. So just wearing a face mask like, you know, like a doctor.
That's adorable. So how would they hook it to their face? Because they don't have ears.
Yeah, probably like a spine or something. I don't know.
Yeah, there we go. Little spikes. Oh my goodness. Would his legs have those little booty things?
Absolutely, like the people that come to clean your carpets.
Yes.
That's it. The Miracle Worker Lurker. For dance moves, I'm saying that he would do the Bigfoot dance from the Goofy movie. You know, there's a part where Max and Goofy get stuck in a car and Bigfoot's on the outside and the headphones fall on Bigfoot and Staying Alive starts playing and he just moves his finger like in this, like, yeah, he moves it in like a disco type of move back and forth, but he's just like this big hulking, you know, Bigfoot. So I thought the same thing for the Lurker, but of course he doesn't have fingers.
So would it be one of his little arms just doing a tiny dance?
Yeah. Maybe like his, you know, his body is just, you know, gyrating a little bit, just moving back and forth as he's, you know, trying to get into the groove. But of course he's a giant alien
who loves music.
That's right.
If there's one thing that can connect us all, it's music.
It's sea urchins.
Yes, that too.
What about your dance move?
All right, I'm thinking he would do a tap dance. I love that a Nubrak does a tap dance. So I'm thinking he would join a Nubrak, and Nick has always dreamed of one day putting on tap shoes and astounding the world with music produced by 6 feet instead of 2.
Absolutely. Just a traditional tap dance. And another thing that we need in this game is we need hidden dance combinations. And by that I mean, if you happen to slash dance as the Lurker and you're next to an Anubarak that hits slash dance, something different happens. There's a different animation that happens. We know after talking to Lana about animation in the game that there are secret animations that happen with the maps, right? What if they made secret dancing animations where you had to do just the right, you know, right timing for 2 people to dance at the same time, but maybe KT picks up Jaina and they do like a, you know, Wind Beneath My Wings kind of moment and whatever. I made that song up. I think that's what it is.
You got it. It's the Dirty Dancing thing,
right?
Nobody puts Husky Boy in the corner.
Oh, wow. Yes. So that's what they need. And this is a great idea, a way that they could do that.
I like it. And maybe it's something from Singing in the Rain. Maybe when they do the duet dancing, that's more famous movie dances.
Yep. And Burt Bacharach comes out and we just went completely full circle. And with that, we can say that this hero was forged. Ton of fun talking about the Lurker from StarCraft today, imagining what this character would be like if they were brought to the Nexus. I mean, I think there are male and female Lurkers, right? So I could say if he or she.
I mean, I guess. Yeah, I guess it just depends on which one you choose for the Lurker.
Yeah. So if they were brought into the Nexus, what they would be like. And I think this is a character that kind of lives a little too close to a Nubarak to be brought in at some point. But we both did a really good job of, you know, fleshing it out and making it different from a Nubarak. Of course, a Nubarak already has that Ultralisk skin kind of feel to it. I think it's an Ultralisk, whatever. Zerg-looking skin for Heroes of the Storm, which kind of fills that void. But who knows? Maybe they'll just make it completely different. Maybe there'll be a hero What if there was a hero in the game that was like Lost Vikings, but it was Zerg Horde, and it was you were controlling 3 characters, and they were all different types of Zerg, right? That'd be kind of cool.
Oh, there we go. And that would play into that Pokemon Master kind of a thing that is so famous from Smash Brothers. So, I mean, there's definitely a way to implement that, but how do you do it?
It's cool. It's a very cool thought. There's a lot of different ways that it could be done, and we know that Blizzard will pick one of those ways someday. Maybe something really cool will come out of the Lurker. Kristen, where can people find you on the interwebs when you're not on this show?
At the interwebs or on the interwebs, you can find me at _Kristen Ashton _ over at Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram.
Very cool. Working on Deus Ex on Kristen's stream. Make sure you check out her stream. It's a ton of fun, and it's a blast. Lots of funny moments. Check it out. If you're looking for me, you can find me right here on HeroesForge. We record the show live every Sunday at 12 noon Pacific, except for this week. We won't be recording on Sunday. We'll be recording on Thursday. Just a reminder, at 3 o'clock Pacific PM in the afternoon, not in the morning, of course, because of daylight savings time. That would be a mess.
Yes, I agree. That daylight savings makes me cry. So that's all I'm going to say on that topic.
Makes me cry too. It made today a mess, even though we just record at noon. I mean, it just throws off your whole timing, and it'll take a little bit getting used to it. And just when you do, we're going to change it back in the fall. So who knows? Maybe it'll change someday. Who knows? So we do record at 12 noon on twitch.tv/Amove TV, because we're a part of the Amove TV Entertainment and Podcast Network. Make sure you check out Amove.tv for more great, awesome esports and video game podcasts. Check it out. You can find our website, HeroesForge.club. It has all of the awesome episodes that we've recorded, all 111 of them. Check them out there. Follow us on YouTube, youtube.com/HeroesForge, and make sure you follow us on Twitter for all of our show updates. Our Twitter handle is @ForgeHeroes. Send us your ideas for heroes that you'd like to see on the show. You can email us, contactheroesforge@gmail.com, shoot us a tweet, or go to the contact section on our website. Don't forget to vote for which one of these 2 kits you thought won the day, and you can do that on our Twitter page. Again, that's @ForgeHeroes. Kristen, any final thoughts on the Lurker?
I like Zerg, and I think there should be more Zerg, and I think that they should all work together to create the coolest team ever.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. So you got the Bro Toss, and then you're going to have a Zerg team.
Exactly, and the Zerg team would win every time, because I don't know. The Bro Toss aren't that bad. Who am I kidding? Artanis was great. He was a pure hero, and of course Alarak. You can't. Alarak's amazing.
Yeah, we're not super fans of pure heroes, though, on this show.
No, I think Artanis is probably the most paladin-y character that I like.
That is very well said. He's very paladin-y in a way. Totally agree. Who knows? Maybe we'll see a full Zerg team. Maybe we'll see a Lurker someday. Only time will tell. Make sure you catch that PAX East panel. We're going to be talking about it on Twitter, because I know something legitimate is going to come out of that. So make sure you check it out. And we will catch you all this Thursday at 3 o'clock Pacific, twitch.tv/AmoveTV. And we'll see you all in the real world.